the request to the Brooklyn Posse.
Hello and welcome to the Fitz and Healthy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Fitzgerald, and I'm joined by my super gorgeous co-host, Cinthanie McAllister from Cinthanie.com. What's up, girl?
Hey, girl. Hey. I always feel the best on podcast days.
I know,
you always
right?
tell me how pretty I am.
It's because it's the only day of the week that we like put makeup on, right?
Exactly. And even today was a stretch because I'm in my husband's t-shirt, but I do have makeup on. So it's like I met myself in the middle today.
Yes. Today is an exceptional day for both of us. For those people that are not listening, we both have t-shirts on. I even have a hat on because it's just one of those kind of days.
Just one of those days.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about, we haven't done a medical issue in a while. And as most of the listeners know, I am a medical doctor. I was medically trained, graduated from medical school in 2005. I do not practice medicine anymore because I do full-time health and fitness coaching and I have my online choreography business, but I still have all this freaking medical knowledge in my head and I use it to help other people be empowered with knowledge so that they can change their lives. So,
but she is not yo doctor.
I am not exactly. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor, yo. So today's episode, we are going to talk about everything that involves the epidermis. And that you can Siri the how to spell that because epidermis is, no, I'm just kidding. So, but before we start, we have to give shout out to our iTunes review of the week. And why we do that is because that helps us get our podcast searchable. And truly, we appreciate everyone taking the time to go and subscribe to the Fitz and Healthy podcast, leave hopefully a 5-star rating, and leave some words that we can read on our podcast. So,
and we love to connect with you guys through our reviews is kind of how we get to connect with you. Because some of you message me on Instagram, which don't be shy. Like if you follow us on Instagram, please, hey girl, hey me, say what's up. I love connecting with you guys, but especially in the reviews is where we really get to connect with you and hear your side of how you're receiving this information. So
absolutely.
All right, so this week's iTunes review of the week is Inspiring. It is a 5-star review. It's called Inspiring. And it is from McKaylee13. And she said, I started listening in September and can't stop. Hey, girl, hey. I play your podcasts on the way to work, on my way home, to the grocery store, to the bank, whenever I get in my car, basically. You two have given me so much knowledge and empowered me to make a lifestyle change. You're relatable and funny. Thank you for doing you, boo-boo, and sharing with the rest of us so we can all be learners of life.
And of course, the chills right there.
I don't think she said, you do you, boo-boo.
Yeah, I love
she is our person. I
love it. No, there is nothing that makes me happier than hearing feedback from our hard work because we like to remind the people, we do not get paid for podcasting.
Not a dollar. Not a dollar. I don't get paid a dollar.
It's
That's an original by me.
Yeah.
I'll keep my day job. Y'all is fine.
Please do. So the reason why I thought about doing an episode about the epidermis is because I just got back from vacation, and anytime I'm one of these people that I like to talk to strangers. You just never know what you're going to learn from people that cross your path. And I don't start off with I'm a doctor, but more times than not, it ends up leading to me telling the person, right?
The questions that you ask are what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? That's one of the top 5 questions you ask in an icebreaker conversation.
Absolutely.
So it's bound to come up.
Absolutely. And I usually like to keep it on the DL, but when it's appropriate, I will tell people that I am a medical doctor. Of course, after that comes the onslaught of questions. And I always tell people, I don't mind answering questions as long as they understand that I'm not their doctor. Right.
Right.
So I met this cute double trouble couple that they travel together. This 2 married couples that both are in their 70s. I met them in Cabo. They were on the beginning of week 3 a vacation in Cabo. And I'm telling you, like,
Rough life.
I know, right? both of these couples did something right for retirement because literally the stories that they told me and Paige were, I mean, they travel a lot for their retirement. They're doing retirement the way it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So Paige left early because her flight was about 3 hours before mine. So I'm just chilling. I'm trying to get in as much vitamin D before I head back. And the Double Trouble couple comes over and they're like, hey, come over here and hang out with us, right? So start talking. I give them my card, and my card is actually where it says medical doctor. And we've been talking to this couple for almost a week now. So they didn't know that I was a medical doctor. So the moment that they realized that, they were like, okay, well, I got this for you, because they knew that I did health and nutrition coaching, and they knew, I'd talked a little bit about, just how like little differences that I'd felt like in my joints after being in Cabo for a week. And, I really wasn't super strict on my nutrition. Like I did drink an alcoholic beverage every day. I did consume sugar. I consume grains and dairy. I mean, literally all of the food. I know. I mean, I just went balls to the wall, y'all. I mean,
you got to recognize the human in you every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's a compliment that I take from a lot of people. I think a lot of people follow me because I'm real. Like you get what you see. And I do not fake on social media. It is what it is with me. But so I enjoyed food that I usually don't enjoy on this vacation. But along with that came consequences. Like literally my knees hurt every single day. I'm 38 years old. I shouldn't have knee problems or knee aching. And sure enough, going back to those inflammatory foods caused issues.
Yeah.
And another issue that it caused is skin issues. And so that, hence the reason why I wanted to talk about this, was one, because not only did it cause issues with me and my skin, but I realized that the average person doesn't understand what kind of control they can have on with their skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this woman, we're just going to call her Mrs. Oregon, because this couple was from Oregon. So she was cute. She was like, okay, so get this. She's trying to stump me, right? And so she's like, so, we travel a lot. We when we go to vacation, we literally are there for at least 3, sometimes 4 weeks. And every single time, about week 3, I get these blisters on the bottom of my feet. And, she starts to tell me, and I'm like, okay. So I start asking her questions, and she realizes that I already know the changes that she made to fix that. And sure enough, it has to do with, the inquisitory doctor in me is like, okay, so what do you do on vacation that you usually don't do at home? And blah, blah, blah. And of course, I'm already thinking like it's something that she's eating, something that she's consuming, right? Because they go to different locations. So it can't be an environmental toxin, like, they're an allergen in the air or whatever. And so sure enough, she has realized that dairy specifically is what she typically doesn't consume when she's at home. And so long story short, she started asking me all these other questions about, skin and whatnot. And I realized that the average person that just walks around every day doesn't realize the skin issues that they're having, really they have more control over than they realize. So, okay. So first things first, have you ever dealt with skin problems?
Okay, I never had any issues with acne, nothing until my adulthood, until the last year. And I actually have scheduled an appointment to go see an esthetician because I'm at a loss because I haven't changed my nutrition. I have I wash my face every morning, every night after my workout. So it just, I am all right, I surrender to the universe. And so it's interesting that we're doing this because I'm going to go see an esthetician and have it looked at. So
interesting. And you saying this, I will basically say, well, first of all, I'm not a dermatologist. So I'm not a skin doctor specialist. Right. And 2, I don't know everything because, I would think in theory, because I know how you eat, I know your lifestyle, I would think that you would have no issues with skin right now.
Good skin, right? Yes. I take the best care of myself that I ever have.
Yes.
And have the worst skin that I've ever had.
Okay. So this is good. I like a challenge. So my story is I actually was that stereotypical teenage girl that got on birth control, not because I was having sex and needed to not get pregnant, but I got on birth control because I had all of the terrible symptoms that come along with that change, that hormonal change that happens in adolescence, right? So, so I got on birth control. I want to say it was either 14 or 15. And so because of that, I never dealt with acne until I was in my mid-20s. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the side effects of birth control pills is something called melasma. And we'll talk about melasma because it is a skin condition. It's also known as pregnancy mask because the hormonal changes that happen in the body basically turn on the trigger for a particular gene that increases the amount of melanin in your skin when you're exposed to sun. Okay. And, you know, this is a good question. I don't know if, because the pregnancy mask, I think it still happens even if you're not super exposed to sun, but I definitely know that with being on birth control and being exposed to sun led to me having melasma. Okay. Melasma at first looks like you just got cute freckles. And then those little cute freckle dots that are on your face start to get larger and bigger. And then they come together and join together. And it culminates in a day where I'm in medical school. I'm at the VA. And of course, medical school and residency was in San Antonio. So like half the people speak Spanish, right? And so this receptionist in the OR at the VA looks at me because, you know, I make friends with everyone and everyone, you know, talk to everyone. And she looks at me and she goes, Mija, you've got some dirt on your face. Mija is like my daughter, you know. Mija, you got some dirt on your face. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. It wasn't dirt. It was my cute little freckles had joined together. And I literally had
a cluster.
Yes. I literally had a big, just, it looked terrible right on my left cheek. And it looked like I had crap on my face that needed to be wiped off. And you can't wipe it off. So that was the moment. I was like probably 25 at the time. So around your age. So that was the time when I'm like, okay, I got to do something about it because this melasma that was cute at one time in my eyes is not cute anymore. So I took myself off birth control. And if people want to listen to the episode that we did about birth control, I kind of talk about this stage and the reasons, one of the many reasons why I'm not a fan of birth control pills, but that's not the point of this. The point of this episode is to talk about skin and all of the things that we can do to help improve our skin because it's the organ, it's our largest organ of our body. It's the one that people see. It's the one, it can affect it can affect everything in so many different ways. But we have way more control over it than most people understand. So long story short, I took myself off of birth control. The melasma slowly went away. I started to be more conscious about not, you know, being in the sun or wearing a hat or wearing, you know, sunscreen and whatnot. I still suffer from melasma, but it's not near as bad because I'm a lot more aware of it. Like in Cabo, I was wearing a hat every day. But I got to experience acne for the first time in my life.
So fun. So fun.
Now, let me ask you this. Can you right now, you must have good makeup because I haven't seen any skin issues that.
It's good makeup.
Is it really good makeup?
It's great makeup.
Maybe you want to share with the listeners that are like, oh, tell me what's the good makeup secret?
I think it's called Urban Decay All Nighter and it's a full coverage foundation. So yeah.
Okay. Because not once have I looked at you and been like, oh, you've got teenage boy skin.
That's because I had it well. And for me, it's weird because it's not necessarily on my face. This is me being vulnerable. It's so hard to admit. It's on my neck.
Oh,
right
girl.
On my jawline. Yes. It's not on my face. No. It's on my jawline. So you will see, I hide it. In my Instagram and stuff, when I'm doing videos and stuff, like my hair is like this.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't want people to see it.
I so can relate. I remember being that way.
I hide it. Yeah. Because it's not like on my face. Like I can cover it with makeup. Like I have a couple scars because I'm bad. I pick.
Me too.
So bad. I pick. And so I don't really have anything going on my face. I have a couple scars, but they typically like kind of wear away.
Yeah.
But my neck is bad. Like the scarring is bad because I feel like the skin is so much more sensitive there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, so my hair is always down like a foo-foo fro around it, like it is right now.
Well, it always looks good.
So try to cover it.
No, but like I can relate. I remember feeling that way. I remember like all of a sudden having an understanding of why acne affects people and their confidence and their everything so much.
Yes, it has bothered me so much, especially because, like I said, I am in the best health I have been in my entire life. Like, I know I'm taking the best care of myself that I ever have. And so, like you said, it should my skin should reflect what's going on inside my body. And
absolutely. Because
so
especially
even
around the jawline,
yes.
that's hormonal. And so
yes. And so it's even like more frustrating for me.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
Because I feel like I should be an example of good health, and like part of that is the way your body looks. And
this is a perfect example of there will always be a place for both Eastern medicine and Western medicine. And when I say Eastern medicine, for those, first time listeners, what I mean is the natural approach that Western medicine doctors never do. Yeah, exactly. And you obviously, I know that you are completely doing everything holistically that I would recommend for you to do to battle skin problems. And
exactly. That's why it's so frustrating.
Unfortunately, that's when Western medicine is needed, when everything is utilized in the holistic approach. So, skin.
I refuse to get on any kind of medications for it or anything. But if I need to do like facials or microdermabrasion or microneedling or something, like I'm open to those. I'm open to those procedures, I guess you could say.
Right.
But I will not. I would rather suffer with it than get on a medication for it. And if you are on a medication for your skin, I'm not judging you. That it's everybody's fighting a different battle when it comes to their skin. Just for me personally, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not have to get on some kind of medication for it.
If this were to be happening to me right now as a 38-year-old versus when I was in my mid-20s, I would have done things differently. I would have done it more like you, but I did the traditional route. So once I got off of birth control, the melasma started getting better, but that's when the cystic acne came into play. And mind you, I was in the OR, so literally had my hair back in a bonnet and a face mask
on all the time.
Yeah. And so I couldn't cover the jawline, terribleness. That was probably out of my entire life. I've never really struggled with confidence issues. That's probably the one time that I struggle with confidence. And it was a really stressful time in my life as well, which that affects hormones, as we all know. It's like right in the transition of medical school to residency, I was going through, bad breakup and whatnot. So, so I went from having melasma to having cystic acne like a teenage boy. And I did first things first, I tried Proactive. Proactive helped for about 6 months. And it was crazy because so many people that I talked to were like, yeah, that's about how long it worked for me. And then it came back. Then I tried the topical stuff from, a prescription. Of course, being a doctor, I didn't have to worry about going to a dermatologist. I just had a friend write the script for me. But then I went to actual prescription medicine. There's a particular medicine called Spironolactone that it's a diuretic. It basically works the way one of the natural hormones, aldosterone, works, and it works for a lot of hormonal based acne. And so, but it is a prescription medicine. It's not a natural approach by any means. And then after all of that didn't work, I went to the big bad yucky drug called Accutane. Do you know much about Accutane?
I know a couple of people that you have to go through like extensive paperwork to get that. Like you have to do a lot of testing to be approved for Accutane. And I know somebody that is in the process of doing their paperwork for Accutane.
Dude, and it's for a good reason. So I'm about to blow everyone's mind with a big medical word. It is teratogenic. So a teratogen is a drug that we know causes birth defects. Okay. So if you can imagine, the people that typically deal with acne are young, horny kids that are going through hormonal changes, that are, like experimenting with sexual stuff for the first time, not super responsible and smart with birth control.
Sowing their wild oats.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden they're on medicine for, the hormonal changes that, the side effects of the skin, and they get pregnant. And the birth defects that come from Accutane are devastating. Devastating. Like, all you have to do is Google images and you'll see, like, it's bad, 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 bad. So this is why it is so hard and strict to be prescribed Accutane.
Yeah.
And even myself, I mean, I was, 10 years older than the average person on Accutane. I wasn't a teenager. I was a medical doctor by that point in time. And they still, like, there's no exception to the rule. So you have to be on 2 form of birth controls. You have to consistently have a negative pregnancy test every time you get prescription filled. I did that. I was on Accutane for, I don't even remember how long it was. It worked. I mean, it took care of my acne, and I haven't had skin problems since. I still get the occasional 1 to 2 pimples before my period, but for the most part, like, it worked. Now, the long-term side effects, like dry mucous membranes. So mucous membranes are your mouth, your nose, genitalia, and eyes. And I literally have to put eye drops. That was the one organ that it affected me. So I have to keep eye drops around with me all the time. Like, it's, so here we're over 10 years after, and I still have, side effects from a drug, a big, nasty, ugly drug that if I would have known that back then, everything that I know now, I wouldn't have done it for sure. I would have just figured out and gone the path that you're going.
For people, so let's say there is somebody that has literally tried everything in the book, holistically, supplementation, like anything that they can to try to naturally take care of that cystic acne, and they're out of options and they feel like Accutane is their only answer. What would you tell that person?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the right answer or if I have an answer, because, like, I mean, you're potentially that person, right? I mean, you haven't explored all of your options yet. You haven't been working with an esthetician or whatnot, but but you could possibly be that person. And there's a part of me that still believes that maybe it is a particular food allergen that you're eating that's not in the major categories, the dairy, the grains, the sugar, and maybe you have something like SIBO. So SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, in which we need to do an entire podcast on SIBO, because it's something not too many people know about.
I see Robert's pen going.
Yep, exactly. Robert's our note taker.
Hashtag write that down.
Exactly. We can talk about SIBO when we talk about gut health, and I know that gut health is going to be probably be next month's medical episode for the Fitz and Healthy podcast. I still think that it's got to be something either that you're eating or a potential environmental toxin that you have been exposed to. And so, you have to get your investigative head on. And I know that you've already have, but sometimes you have to, hearing someone else's perspective might open your eyes to other things. Like, did you change where you're living around the time that, you started having skin issues, what, or maybe place of work, or maybe a new gym or something like that. Like, literally what has been new into your life that either is exposed to your skin or into your body, maybe a new product or whatnot. Like, literally, people don't understand, like Mrs. Oregon, she didn't understand that something that she was eating could affect her toes, because literally that's the only place that she had this rash. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense that, wait, you're telling me that I eat this and then I get a rash on my toes after eating it for a few weeks on vacation? Like, really? But this is the point of this episode, because I want people to think outside of the box before you immediately go to the dermatologist and get on a prescription or on something serious like Accutane that really is just, it's a nasty drug that is, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but it's, So cystic acne, especially in locations like the jawline, the first thing that I think about is hormonal. And so for people that don't understand, dairy would be the very first thing that I would tell people to cut out.
Yeah.
And do you know why that is? I'm guessing that you do know. I just put you on the spot. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I feel like it maybe has something to do with the mucus in it.
So think about what is done to the stereotypical dairy cow before.
Oh, okay. All of the hormones that they're
exactly.
Pumping.
Exactly.
The dots are connecting.
I knew. But sometimes when we're asked on the spot, it's like mine just goes blank.
My hamster wasn't on its wheel. It was somewhere eating popcorn or something.
Yeah. No, but I knew you knew the answer. The fact is that, and I'm totally making this percent up, but if I had to guess, I would guess that probably 98% of the dairy that we can buy in grocery stores throughout the United States are from dairy cows that are pumped full of hormones, antibiotics, and bad stuff that ultimately you consume their dairy and it gets into your body and basically acts in the same way, and it starts to take over your hormones.
Yeah,
and
it mimics.
Exactly. So like whey protein isolate is a dairy byproduct, and this is why I don't do dairy anymore, because it creates bad acne for me, and it makes me fart. I'm just going to put that out there. It does. It makes me fart. So you're like,
no, because it's true. Or it gives you air bubbles in your tummy. It doesn't feel good.
Exactly. So that if any listeners are struggling with cystic acne, a great resource to start with is the Whole30. The Whole30 is a website. It started off as a book, but they've got a huge website that is chock full of free information. And this is the website that I would give a lot of my patients with autoimmune disorders to go and start and just do an actual Whole30. And it's one of the many elimination diets that are out there, but it helps you walk through 30 days, eliminating major food groups that cause inflammation in your body. And so just literally go to whole30.com. There's a 4-page PDF that is the how to do a Whole30 and start from there. And it's easier than you would think. And it can potentially change your life. I know my 13-year-old nephew, it was last summer, he was, 13-year-old boy, he was starting to deal with acne. All he did was cut out dairy and boom.
Totally changed.
Yeah. What I would suggest for cystic acne. Okay. Another skin condition is psoriasis.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So what do you know about psoriasis?
It's like little red spots on your skin.
Yes, and it pop up. And it can be debilitating and devastating.
Yeah.
So the first time that I ever dealt with someone personal, obviously I learned about it in medical school, and I didn't really take care of patients for that problem just because I knew I didn't want to go to dermatology residency and whatnot. So in theory, I learned about it, but didn't really take care of patients with it. So my uncle Steve, shout out to Steve Cooper, he, anytime we would get together for family, reunions or family holidays, we all go to my family farm in Brownwood, Texas. Shout out to Brown County. And he started talking to me about the fact that he crossed someone's path because he used to have this terrible psoriasis. And oftentimes there's these patches of terrible red skin. And oftentimes they're in stereotypical places like the elbows. And so his was getting completely out of whack. And someone crossed his path and was like, why don't you just try cutting out gluten? And he was like, what? And, because the idea of food that he eats causing his skin condition was so foreign to him. And ultimately, the point of this episode, I want people to start realizing is the food you eat does affect your skin.
Yeah.
Can affect it big time.
Totally.
So sure enough, he cut out gluten, and he has been suffering from psoriasis literally for decades. And he's just learned to live with it. But it's just one of those things that if you knew the secret sauce to get rid of it, you would have done it years ago.
Yeah.
Sure enough, gluten and grains out, and he is cured. So certain skin conditions are related with certain food groups, and then others it's really kind of a testing. And that's what I would say with you is figure out if there's a particular food that you're eating on a regular basis, and don't change multiple factors
Things
at once.
Right.
That's what so many people do. They're like, oh, I'm going to, try this and this and this. And then you don't know which one it was. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know that there's certain food groups that you don't consume regularly. So we know that it's not them. So that's where I would get specific with you. And let's say you eat onions every day or most days. Let's try cutting out onions and seeing what you do.
My question is, what about topical things like spray tanning?
Ew.
Or perfumed lotions?
I'm
asking for a friend here.
Asking for a friend.
Well, because I know that tanning beds are horrible for you, but I also don't like to be the same color as the walls in my house. So I use like an at-home like spray tan kit, but I wonder, like, does it hurt me? Does it bother my skin? Like, is it my best option?
Okay.
Thoughts on topical stuff?
I think that this is a great question to bring into the episode about the epidermis. Like I said, our skin is our largest organ. And what people don't realize is that organ absorbs everything you put on it.
Right.
And so if you are putting what we call endocrine disruptors on it, you can be altering your hormonal status based on perfumes, lotion, spray tans, and it affecting your hormones. And so, that honestly, that might be what's affecting your hormones, because your cystic acne is definitely hormones. Like that, the location of your issue 100% is hormonal.
But I had that before I started using spray tanning.
Really? Okay. Okay.
So I wish it would, if that's all it
I
was,
know.
I'd be like, buy spray tan. I'll be
Well, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Acne on my neck, but
for sure.
it was before I started spray tanning.
Well, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing it slowly, because I definitely, I hate waste not, want not, right? And I hate wasting stuff. I've got so many perfumes that I think I'm going to actually end up tossing. The fact is that the more natural that you can get with natural ingredients, the better. But you have to be very proactive in looking at ingredients and knowing the companies that are very diligent about only putting all natural ingredients in it that are not endocrine disruptors. It's one of those things that you have to be proactive about. But definitely topical stuff can affect your hormones for sure. Your hormones, your everything. Just like, for instance, one great way to absorb magnesium, the best way to absorb magnesium is an Epsom salt bath. I mean, you literally put it in the water and it absorbs through your skin. So, I have switched from using the traditional, Victoria's Secret lotion because it makes me smell so yummy. And I use coconut oil, and the combination of coconut oil and my diet has changed. My skin, for me, has never looked better. I definitely, and that's another thing that I want to say. We don't necessarily, this episode is not just about skin conditions, but it's also about the quality of your skin. And I get told on a regular basis when I tell people that I'm 38 that they can't believe that I'm 38. And I 100% believe that it's because my nutrition and my water has changed the way it has over the last few years. Because I'll just be honest, I've been a sun worshiper for my whole life. So that kind of puts that in the, into question, because if it's just the sun, I mean, it is truly eating a higher fat, lower carbohydrate, moderate protein, whole foods based diet with Shakeology and good water is why I've got healthy skin, nails and hair, and I get complimented the way I do. But this is not a toot my own horn bit. It's just, you don't realize that the healthy food that you think is healthy is not making you healthy. It's leading to issues like leaky gut and autoimmune disorders like psoriasis. Not cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is your liver. Psoriasis is skin.
Psoriasis.
Yes, but psoriasis is one of the autoimmune disorders that is completely affected by your diet.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what other skin issues, major skin issues do we need to cover? We've hit acne. We've hit food-based stuff.
What about scarring?
Oh, that's a great question. So scarring is definitely, there's a couple of factors that affect it. One is genetic, a condition called keloid formation, which a keloid formation is typically found in your African-American population, but it's essentially where the skin raises as the scar is, as the wound is healing. So the scar ends up being a raised, elevated, whatever lesion,
portion
if you
of
will.
their skin.
Yeah, exactly. Fun fact, I form keloids, but it's not every time, but I've formed keloids twice. So it's funny because I actually got a genetic analysis to see, what part of the world I'm from. So I'm 1.1% from Africa. I will say that, but it's but it's typically, keloids are it's like 98% only found in African Americans. So when you find someone that forms keloids that's not African American, you're like, huh. For when I had my knee surgery, I used coconut oil like it was going out of style. And my scars look amazing. Like you can barely tell that I had knee surgery. But you definitely, there's a lot of fake ingredients in the scar lotions and potions and whatnot that you need to be aware of. One ingredient in a lot of skin products is petrolatum. And petrolatum is essentially, it's basically plastic in a liquid form. And so every time you are putting on petrolatum on your skin, you're putting on plastic that absorbs into your skin. Not good.
Yeah.
Right? So start reading your labels, start looking for that petrolatum because it's petroleum. So like Vaseline, Vaseline, that the first ingredient is petrolatum. Yeah, I didn't know that, right? I have right here, I went through all of my, because I apparently collect lip sticks and lip balms, and I got rid of all of my lip stuff that was not full of natural ingredients. So EOS is one brand that's full of good ingredients. So I keep those around. But you know, everything that you put on your body absorbs. So you have to be careful about it,
Absolutely.
I definitely want to make sure that people understand that the health of your hair and nails is also directly related with your skin. So if your skin isn't looking the best, your hair probably could use some help, and your nails. So if you're struggling in that, I would challenge you to look at your nutrition and start from there. All right. So apparently there was one other skin condition that I wanted to talk about, and I'm just going to be honest to the listeners. I didn't write it down, and I cannot remember it for the life of me. But I definitely want to acknowledge the people that suffer from autoimmune disorders like psoriasis, like something called scleroderma. If you have done everything to change your diet and nutrition, and you still, I'm guessing that your symptoms have gotten better, but sometimes they don't go away completely. And you have to be on some sort of autoimmune medicine, whether it be an injectable or a pill or something like Humira. This is something that I would love to recommend you working very close hand in hand with a rheumatologist and a functional medicine doctor, because I definitely believe that the dose of a drug, because these drugs are no joke, they're super strong, and they really can jack with your whole system. I would suggest you working close hand in hand with a rheumatologist and a functional medicine doctor, because you can make sure that dose is the minimum that you need. But that's assuming that you have done everything in your power to change your nutrition. Because that's, the fact is that, do I want to say lazy? Yes, I'm going to say lazy. Lazy people that don't want to put in the work are the ones that Western medicine is for sure for. Because, the fact is, if every single patient of mine that I told about the Whole30, that I knew it would change their disease state would actually do it, it would be awesome. And we wouldn't need Western medicine. We wouldn't need prescription medicine and surgeries and whatnot. But the fact is that, to change your health and your diet, your nutrition takes work, and it's not easy. And there's a lot of lazy people out there that don't want to make the effort to change it, that would rather just be on a prescription medicine their whole life. So this is not the person I'm talking to. This is the person that I'm talking to is the one that has done everything in their effort to change their nutrition. They know that it's on point, and they still are having symptoms like, X, Y, and Z. This is where I would say definitely work hand in hand with your rheumatologist and your functional medicine doctor for sure. So hopefully people have, listened to this episode and realize that, okay, whatever skin issue that's going on, I might not be doomed to deal with it the rest of my life. I might have more control over it than I'd like to. I believed before this episode. And then also, finding a functional medicine doctor at functionalmedicine.org or wherever is something I'm always going to recommend, because if you can approach it from the Eastern medicine way first and make sure that everything in your power is done that way before going to the prescription pills, injectables, whatnot, way better that way. And Cinthanie, we'll have to keep the listeners up to date on your journey, because I definitely believe that there's going to be something to be learned from your experience. And there are so many people that can relate to, my story and your story. And, ultimately we want to empower people with, tools to become more fit and healthy. So Cinthanie, any other closing notes before you end up in this episode with our important message?
Something that I have noticed, though, that has made a huge change. Clearly, I'm not a skin expert because I still struggle with it. But something that I have noticed that helps a lot is collagen and lots and lots and lots of hydration. Like, I can tell when I haven't been drinking enough water, my skin feels different than it does when I'm. So I have a water bottle chilling right here.
Exactly.
Because if it's in front of me, I'll drink it. But if it's not in front of me, I forget to drink water. And so hydration is a huge part of it. And then also, like I said, collagen has been a huge help. Of like, especially with scarring and stuff like that on my face, I noticed that my skin literally bounces back faster. Like, I don't have as much scarring. It goes away. It doesn't stick around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great points. And two different great products to get grass-fed collagen from. Bulletproof has a good product for collagen, and then Vital Proteins.
Yeah.
I like
what I use.
their products, because both are grass-fed, grass-finished collagen. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We end every single episode with the most important message that I freaking love to hear people quote, whether it be just randomly on social media or actual quote to me. And I'm sure you get it as well. And Cinthanie, will you close us out?
You are a good person and you deserve good things to happen to you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see y'all on next episode of the Fitz and Healthy podcast.
Make sure that you find us on social media. You can find Cinthanie on Instagram and Facebook at Cinthanie. So that's CINTHANIE, and on Snapchat at Cinthanie P. And find me on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Club Fitz Fitness. Remember, that's FITZ Fitness. And on Snapchat, just at Club Fitz. I appreciate your time listening so much. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fitz and Healthy podcast, can you please go do me a favor and go subscribe at whatever platform that it is that you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. We read every single review, and we appreciate the time that you take to leave your thoughts and opinions. Now, also remember, while I am a medical doctor, the information I provide here is not intended to provide medical advice or professional diagnosis, opinion, treatment, or services to you or to any other individual. I am providing general information for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for medical or professional care. You should not use this information in place of a visit, call, consultation, or the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. The information I share is not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or medical condition. If you believe you have a medical emergency, just call 911 immediately or your physician. Now, enough of that medical legal jargon. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate your time. Now go live a Fitz and healthy life.